Coming up on today's show.
Poppy or no poppy, does it matter?
The countdown to the next US president is on.
Set to go, a new event for unsigned bands hits Manchester. Good afternoon and welcome to Quays News. I'm Rachel Williams.
And I'm Inzi Rashid. Today's top story. The latest Remembrance Day outrage involves the England and Scotland football teams fighting to wear a poppy on their shirts. This Friday marks Armistice Day, on which the two teams play each other in a World Cup qualifier. The Football Association are asking FIFA to allow players to wear the symbol. FIFA bans any political, religious or commercial messages on playing shirts.
And Prince William has been called to weigh in on the controversial FIFA decision to ban the poppy. The North West Royal British Legion gave their opinion on the poppy, and Charles Creasy has this report.
The Royal British Legion has hit back at FIFA after the international governing body of football took the controversial decision to ban British players from sporting the red flower of remembrance. Jenny Martin of the Royal British Legion gave me the North West's angle on the debate.
Basically, our opinion is that, we just encourage that everybody wears the poppy, but people have the choice to wear the poppy, and the footballers at this point don't have that choice. It's not a political symbol, it's not a religious symbol, it is a symbol of remembrance. What we want to say to FIFA is that we want you to understand the actual meaning of the poppy, and it is not political. We want people to be able to wear it if they choose to wear it. We can't tell people to wear it. We won't tell anybody to wear it, but we encourage people to wear it, and we encourage people to wear it with pride. And what has been absolutely fantastic is the public's reaction to what FIFA banning it as such has done, because it has been, there has been more pride in there, which is, for us as an organisation, is absolutely fantastic to see. I would just encourage that FIFA do look at their definition of what they think the poppy is. It's the understanding of the poppy, because I think that is the most important thing, that an international organisation actually sees the poppy for the correct symbol that it actually is. People have made that ultimate sacrifice, so people have the choice, and that's what it's about. It's having the choice to wear it. And that's what we support, is having the choice to wear it or not.
FIFA has decided to ban the poppy, and apparently England and Scotland are going to defy it anyway. What's your response to that?
Well, I don't see really why not. I mean, it's not doing any harm. I just can't see it's doing any harm.
It's giving a lot of respect, basically, isn't it? It's a token of respect for the dead and for the people that have, lost their lives for our country.
British players have spoken openly about defying the FIFA ban, but what will happen on the 11th day of the 11th month remains to be seen. Charles Creasy, Quays News.
The US election has taken the media by storm. Voting kicks off today and the results will come in tomorrow morning early. We have our political analyst Kieran Wilson in the studio to discuss the impact on the result on Britain. So Kieran, you were there earlier in March. What was your involvement there?
Well, I was doing a little bit of campaigning with an organisation called 45 for the 45th. I was working on the primaries. It was a non-partisan collaboration, so we were working with both sides, with Kasich and Clinton, and also Bernie Sanders. And I also went to a Trump rally, which was quite interesting.
Kieran, the big question of this election is how has Donald Trump gotten so close? I mean, how is he in this race at such a close ending?
Well, yeah, it is a very interesting question. Obviously, for him to get this far, he must have a lot of support, and he has fed upon people who have real issues. People are seeing that there's a bigger inequality gap since Obama took over, and people understand that the rich are getting richer, and he's feeding off that, you know. And also, I think Clinton is very establishment in the eyes of a lot of Americans, and he doesn't represent that for them. So that's how he's got his core support.
So how do you see this election in America impacting on Britain?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. I mean, we're post-Brexit, so we have to make trade deals now with other countries. And obviously America is someone who the EU does a lot of trade with, and we'll have to make our own deal with them. So you'd have to think that probably Clinton is a better candidate in terms of making a trade deal, because Obama in the campaign has already said that Britain is going to be at the front of the queue for trade deals, whereas Trump is looking to invest more in America and more inwards, and he wants to make more American jobs. So you think that Clinton would be better for Britain.
Very quickly, you went to a Trump rally, as you mentioned. Can you give us a few pointers of what it was like?
Yeah, it was one of the most surreal things I'd ever been to. It was a very negative atmosphere, to be honest. There was a lot of hate from both sides. You had Trump supporters and protesters. But the thing that I really didn't like about it is you had like 3- and 4-year-old children on the shoulders of parents shouting Trump. And it's sad that at a young age, these kids are already indoctrinated in this kind of thought, this kind of bigotry, that they would have shouted for anything, yeah.
And if you can sum this campaign up in one word, what would it be?
A circus, to be honest. It's been a bit crazy, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kieran. Don't forget, you can listen to Shock Radio tonight at 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning, and also follow the Quays News blog for more on the results.
Kieran, thank you very much indeed. Now, the ESRC Festival of Social Science is taking place all over the country until this Saturday. One of the events in Manchester is called Downpour, an interactive street game about flooding and climate change. Our reporter Matt Bullin went to check it out.
Imagine, it hasn't stopped raining in 4 days and the riverbanks are collapsing. The risk of flooding is imminent. You and your team of experts have been sent to take immediate action. Can you save the city? Downpour is an interactive street game in which members of the public play the role of Manchester's flood advisors in a game about how to tackle flooding in a changing climate. Dr. Jana Wendler designed the game.
So Downpour is, like you already said, a street game, so that means a kind of mix of a treasure hunt, an interactive sort of experience, and a bit of an escape room that is all about flooding and climate change. So players are kind of the flood risk advisors for Manchester, and they have to save the city from an impending flood of biblical proportions, so much bigger than anything that's ever happened before. So they do that, they interact with a few characters along the way, they have to think about longer term planning, and in the end there's a final gamble that will determine whether they manage to save the city or not.
How important do you think it is to use events and even games like this to raise sort of engagement with climate change, especially among young people?
I think it's really important. I mean, there's been so many attempts to get the population to think about climate change, to get people to change their behavior and so on. And I think a lot of it just doesn't quite connect because you don't necessarily have the experience of what the problems are like. So putting people in a playful scenario, in a kind of safe space where they can experiment, they can try things out, they can kind of play a role, gives them a completely different insight into these issues, which then hopefully will trigger kind of further interest. So we're definitely concerned with putting real science into our games, but still making it fun.
And obviously the game, it hasn't stopped raining for 4 days. Do you think that's quite appropriate being in Manchester? Obviously there's a massive stereotype that it rains here all the time.
Well, it is a stereotype, but it's also true. I mean, looking back at the Boxing Day floods last Christmas, that was our baseline scenario. That's where we started from. And then we basically said, well, what if that happens plus more? What if it doesn't stop after 3 days, but it continues? And those are not, scenarios that are completely unthinkable. Climate change predictions do show that rainfall will increase, especially in the winter months. So this is something that Manchester needs to face up to.
Set to go, a new event which recognises unsigned bands took place over the weekend at Sound Control in the city. Set up by Manchester legend DJ Clint Boone, it aims to uncover new musical talent in the local area. Our reporter Rory Cohen went to find out more.
The In the City event was started by Factory Supremo, Tony Wilson, and his partner, Yvette Livesey. The event brought the music industry to Manchester to discuss business by day and new bands by night. Set to Go is part of that legacy.
Well, Set to Go started as a podcast idea, which it still is. I started a Storytime podcast in January, Storytime with Booms. That's me telling anecdotes about my time in the music industry or my time as a dad. So it's all stories. And at the end of every episode, I started putting an unsigned band on it, just as a way of giving a little platform. Because you can't always do it on radio, depending on what radio shows I've been presenting over the years. Sometimes I can help the unsigned bands, and sometimes I have no way of putting them out there at all. So the podcast is a nice little way of putting a band on each episode, band or artist on the end of it. And then I got inundated with people saying, can we come onto your podcast? Well, this is our new music. So I decided to start a separate one, which is just like 12 unsigned tracks every 2 or 3 weeks. We're sort of getting them out at the moment. That's the plan.
Tony Wilson set up the In the City music event back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Do you think Set to Go has a similar potential?
I think Set to Go, it's a bit of a blank canvas really in terms of what it could become. But it depends how much time I can put into it really. And I suppose how much money we can put behind it, that's a part of it as well. But yeah, it could become a music conference, it could become, we're talking about doing an app, we're talking about creating a Set to Go app. I'm going to give me ideas all the way, But the idea being that it's the definitive thing to have in your phone or your device if you're an unsigned musician, or if you're a musician looking for a band, if you're a band looking for a bass player, if you're looking for equipment, if you're looking to sell equipment, if you're an agent looking for bands to represent, or a manager. Set to Go could be the app that you need, So we're starting to look at that at the moment.
How does an event like this help you as an artist?
It's good for most of the bands on today. I gig with quite a few of them, and it's nice to see each other again for a start. And it's good to meet new bands and stuff like that, and obviously get to chat to Clint and stuff and showcase what we've got, all together and stuff. It's pretty smart, yeah.
What's unique about you as an artist?
That's a tough question. I think all of us, all the bands, not just me, we all write our own stuff, and we're all doing it I like to think the proper way, gig grafting, gigging in all the little venues around town and stuff like that, and up and down the UK and stuff like that. So it's not just me. I think we're all unique in our way, by doing it the proper way, really, all writing our own stuff, and so it's not just me. I think we're all unique. I'm not going to say I don't know how I'm unique personally. I think we're all I couldn't really say.
Fantastic. Cheers, Ryan.
Awesome.
Thanks very much. I'm Rory Cowan, signing off for Quays News.
Don your Santa hats, dust off the mulled wine glasses and get into the festive spirits as the Manchester Christmas Markets opens this Thursday. The giant Santa in Albert Square will be watching over the markets, which will run until the 20th of December.
Yes, the award-winning markets will be home to a number of food stalls, plenty of places to drink and shops to grab all your Christmas essentials. So let's hope we have some nice weather for it. Here's Emily with the latest forecast.
Good afternoon to you all here in Salford. Today we can expect some frequent showers later on in the afternoon with temperatures peaking at 7 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow follows a very similar pattern with temperatures peaking at 6 degrees Celsius, and we've got much of the same for the rest of the week. So if you are thinking about heading out to those Manchester Christmas markets, be sure to have a brolly handy and wrap up warm. Have a lovely day.
Manchester Fire and Rescue Services received over 350 calls across the region on bonfire night, some which were treated as serious, including an arson attack and a 14-year-old boy who was injured. The force say it was the busiest night of the year.
But despite all this, for the rescue services in Greater Manchester, the rest of us had a fun and safe evening. We've been sent some viewer photographs.